Praise Yahuwah, Yahusha. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise Yahuwah. Praise to the Most High. What a beautiful day. Woo! Beautiful day, beautiful morning. The glory of Yahuwah can be appreciated in everything, in all the subtle things that we used to take for granted. But now means more than anything. A blade of grass, a beautiful blade of grass. The beauty of this blade of grass compared to all the riches in the world, this holds more value. Yahuwah's creation, all that Yahuwah has given us. The man-made accoutrements of comfort and luxury are worthless. The esteem of man is worthless. But the glory to be found in all that Yahuwah has created brings joy and love and peace and true solace and healing. And Yahuwah, Yahusha himself brings everlasting life. Where before we were dead, perishing, walking like zombies around this false reality, now we see the zeros and the ones behind this mirage, and we know what is true. We know the way, we know the life, and we live with joy and strength and peace and encouragement and inspiration and motivation, knowing all is possible in Yahuwah, Yahusha. Yesterday I was talking about a Navy SEAL by the name of Mark Green and an amazing book that I read of his, which is just a beautiful telling of his story from the heart. And as you read it, you'll see clearly how it's been written with no contrivance, with no ego such that he seeks to place himself higher. He pours himself out in truth. And we talked yesterday about how he learned what true leadership really meant, and how it's not being the one pointing the direction of the way to go, not being at the tip of the spear, not being ruling over people. And how yesterday I tied this into exactly what I was reading the day I did this interview with Mark, an incredible Navy SEAL leader, Navy SEAL sniper. The same day I was reading in the Good News, reading in Mark, the book of Mark, chapter 10, where Yahusha talks about how to lead you serve. And how in speaking to Mark, again, the confluence of things, how everything is serendipitous, how all the signs are received, how you see these things all lining up when you're living in Yahuwah, Yahusha. I was talking about yesterday how I'm reading Mark Green's book, The Navy SEAL, how I'm reading about how he talks about true leadership and how true leaders are the ones who everyone brings their problems to, because they know who the leaders, they know who have the experience, they know who has the advice, they know who can truly speak to how to solve someone's problem. And so people will naturally seek you out. And how Mark was talking through how he couldn't even get anything done when he went to leadership school in the Navy, when he went to officer candidate school. How he couldn't get any of his tasks done because people kept coming to him with their problems. He was older, he had spent a number of years as a Navy SEAL already, and so he had a lot of experience, so people gravitated towards him. And he learned how true leadership was in being the person that people could lean on for advice. And how if they stopped coming to you with their problems, then you're probably not the leader anymore. And at the very same time, I'm reading in the book of Mark, right, in the Good News, in the Gospels, about how Yahusha is saying to his disciples how if you want to be great, you're going to serve. The first will be last, the last will be first. But there's something else. Something else that Mark Green, the Navy SEAL, talks about in his book and something that he actively does, and that was actively done for him, which was championing others, lifting up others, putting others on your shoulders. And what is the commandment? What is the single commandment that Yahusha has blessed us with? Such that if we follow this single commandment, I talk about it all the time because, and I'll talk about it every single time I deliver one of these messages, because it is the fountain from which all good things spring. It is the core of our belief system. It is everything from which all prosperity, all productivity, all wholesomeness, it is the wellspring from which the way, the truth, and the life is found and is followed and is revealed. And that is to love Yahuwah with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love our fellow man as we love ourselves. And if all you know is that commandment, if all you receive, which is what you will receive when you receive the breath, the Ruach, the set-apart spirit, the breath of Yahuwah, the Most High who creates, the Most High who breathes life, the Most High who brings into existence Yahusha, in receiving him and asking for his salvation, you are flooded with the breath of life. And you're animated. All of a sudden you're encouraged, you're inspired, you're motivated. You're alive because you have everlasting life and you're on the path now. You can see the path. It's narrow, but you can see it, and it is so easy to follow. And it's hard to follow. Why is it hard to follow? Because sometimes you're going to stumble. You're no longer in darkness, so your whole life is no longer a stumbling, bumbling mess. But you're still human, so you're still imperfect. So you still waver, you still sway as you're on this path, but now you can see it. And the breath of Yahuwah that lives within you keeps you girded, keeps you buttressed, keeps you on the straight and narrow. So if you should sway, you're like a magnet, like a compass pointing true north. You're not going to veer off it. You're going to stay true to it. And if you just deviate slightly, no problem. You're back on it instantly because you see it constantly, 24/7. Yesterday I got into a row, a kerfuffle with someone. And I was shouting them down. I was shouting that they were hurling such absurdities at myself and my wife and a group of people, giving us the worst information, and being they were obfuscating. And I'm not going to get into what the situation was, but let's just say they were veering us off in a bad or evil direction. And we were doing something very important, one of the most important things you can do. And so I was defending the people, I was defending myself, I was defending my wife. Not that my wife needs any defending, she'll give you what for as well. But we were giving these people, we were getting loud about the truth. And they were hurling such absurdities at us that I couldn't keep quiet, and I was giving them my 2 cents. And I was being loud about it to the point where, okay, they stopped. Not only did they stop, but they were no longer lording over us, so to speak. So I put them in their place. And then after about an hour, we got what we needed to do done. I came back out and I saw this person and I realized, you know what, I was harsh. I had veered off the path without even realizing it because I let my emotion, I let my passion, I let my anger get the best of me. I wasn't being meek. I wasn't showing meekness. And so as I saw this person again, as I had accomplished what we had set out to do, I saw this person, I went over to them and I apologized. Said I was sorry, and it's like all the anger and all the animosity just faded away, and they said thank you. And you could see that they were happy that I apologized, even though they should apologize to me, but I didn't even think that at the moment. I didn't even think of that. I don't need an apology. I wasn't even thinking that until just now. But I felt like I needed to apologize because I need to be on this narrow path. And I need to be meek. I need to show meekness. I need to show restraint. I need to sheathe the sword. My emotions, I need to control them. I need to have discipline. And I need to not let that rage or that anger or that self-importance get the best of me. And so, and instantly, I saw myself veering from the path. All right, it took an hour. But I was right back on it because the Ruach, the breath of Yahuwah, lives within me. And so I know when I'm veering off, and I apologize, and I felt so much better. And I could tell this person felt better. And anyway, back to Mark Green, the Navy SEAL, how he was championed in many ways throughout his story, throughout his 20 plus years being a Navy SEAL, becoming a Navy SEAL sniper, becoming a Navy SEAL sniper instructor, becoming an officer, becoming a leader of SEAL teams. And he was championed. He was lifted higher, and he would seek to lift people higher and champion people. And he's such a beautiful fellow, such a good man, such an honest person, someone you can have a true, meaningful conversation with, a genuine guy. Genuine is what I would use as a description of who Mark is. And when we think about Yahuwah's commandment, the wellspring from which all the good things come from, that keeps us on the straight and narrow and will guide us, if we follow it, it's the only thing we need to know. It is the only thing we'll ever need to know because it reveals all things. And as you contemplate and live it, all is revealed to you. All is shown to you. All the answers you've ever sought are given to you. And you receive all the things you've ever sought in life. And what have you sought in all the man-made glory and power that you've chased your whole life? What have in all the jewelry and all the houses and all the cars and all the bank accounts and all the stock portfolios and all the baseball card collections and stamp collections and art collections and all the material things of this world that you've chased that you thought would bring you happiness but never did, all of the jobs that you did, all the paychecks you chased, all the things that you do just to claw, scratch, and cannibalize to get by, to succeed, to accomplish things that you believe, the things of the flesh that you think, the stuff of this world that you assume will make you happy or give you satisfaction. They don't. And for those who can't seem to get out of their own way, for those who toil at their jobs, for those who try to scratch out or eke out an existence, who maybe never get to any of their goals or ambitions or never follow their dreams and never get to the top of any mountains. I say this to you, when you get to the top of those mountains, you will find you're not happy anyway. Because nothing on this earth will ever make you happy because it'll never be enough, because when you get to the top of that mountain, you'll find that you're at the bottom of another. And so what will you do? You'll get there and for a moment you're happy. You'll celebrate. You'll party like it's 1999. You'll drown yourself in drugs and alcohol and all manner of meaningless entertainment because you're celebrating your accomplishment. And then it's back to the nose to the grindstone, chasing on the hamster wheel, on the treadmill. It's never enough. You're never satisfied. You're never thankful. You're never grateful. It's always more. It's never enough. You're always pushing, always striving. So that's what I'm telling that's what I'm here describing right now for all of those who toil under, who burden themselves under jobs where they can't even eke out enough scratch to pay their bills, where they're constantly in debt and they're never even chasing those mountain peaks. I'm here to tell you that those mountain peaks won't make you happy. And what ends up happening, you end up in the same place. Those who don't follow their dreams, those who don't chase big ambitions and big goals, those that don't search to the ends of the earth to win some championship, win some title, get some big paycheck. For those of you that are just wallowing in debt and suffering paycheck to paycheck, you end up in the same place that those who chase the flesh and the dreams of this illusion end up. Because you're broke, because you're toiling in debt, because you're running around, avoiding chasing, your what you believe should be your true life, your true dreams, your true visions, or you're avoiding them for whatever fear of success, fear of failure, whatever it might be, and you're just finding yourself barely even paying your bills. You end up in the same place anyway, which is you end up, although it's different, you end up escaping. So for those who get to the top of the mountain and find there's no meaning there, it's all meaningless, everything they thought would bring them happiness doesn't. For those who never get anywhere, they end up in the same place. Only, what do they end up doing? You end up doing drugs, you end up drowning your sorrows in alcohol, you end up disillusioned, diverted, and distracting yourself from the harsh realities of life with alcohol, with drugs, with meaningless entertainment. Just as those who party, they use the same. So imagine, you celebrate and you party with drug, alcohol, and cheap entertainment, cheap thrills, cheap titillation, cheap highs, because it's all meaningless. And for those who never get anywhere, you escape with drugs, alcohol, cheap highs, cheap thrills, cheap titillation, to distract yourself from the harsh reality of life that doesn't give you the breaks you believe you deserve. So in both places, you end up exactly in the same spot. Because this is an illusion. This is a false reality. And you chase the things of the flesh, and you put importance on the things of the flesh, and you invest in the things of the flesh, and you put blood, sweat, and tears into the things of the flesh, into the esteem of man, into the root. You bind yourself, you yoke yourself, you chain yourself to the spinning, grinding, endless wheel of this world. When the only true happiness and the only true satisfaction and the only true prosperity that you will ever have and ever find, the only peace, the only joy, the only healing you will ever find is in Yahuwah, Yahusha. And the moment you come to that realization, whether it's because you've never found meaning in any of the man-made things of this planet, no matter how many mountain peaks you strive to climb and get to, only to find that you're pushing that boulder up like Sisyphus, doomed to have it roll back down on you again and again, because it's never enough, claw, scratch, cannibalize, conquer, dominion over all mankind to get to the same meaningless, purposeless place. We're asking the same questions and never getting the answers. Every door you open, another door's closed behind it. Every question you ask, another question behind it. It's never enough. And for those who toil under debt and burdensome jobs and never chase their dreams for fear of failure, fear of success, whatever it may be, escaping, diverting themselves, distracting themselves to the harsh reality of life, chained, both of you, chained to the endless, harsh wheel of this false illusion that you can never escape from until you come to the place, your Damascus moment, like Paul, Saul of Tarsus, Paul on his way to persecute the followers of the way, when Yahusha strikes him and blinds him with the light and says, Paul, why do you persecute my people? You have your Damascene moment. It will happen. Hopefully it happens. I'm calling out to you. I'm calling out to you like one in the wilderness, crying out. Repent. Have your Damascene moment. Realize that this world, this flesh, is not the answer. And when that moment happens for you, and you come to Yahuwah, Yahusha, and ask him to save you from it all, from all of your past, from all of your present, from all of your evil, sin, decadence, depravity, defilement, debasement, all of your purposelessness, all of your meaninglessness, all of the questions you can never get answered, the dreams that can never really fulfill you, the hopes, the frustrations, the anxiety, the depression, the sorrow, the lack of self-esteem, the longing, the thirsting, the endless hungering for more and more and more. When will it be enough? How do you fix your addictions to drugs, to alcohol, to pornography, to cheap thrills, cheap highs, cheap entertainment? How do you get out of your own way? All that you've ever sought to have answered and fixed and solved lies in getting on your knees and asking him to redeem you, deliver you, and save you from it all. And then he floods you with a tsunami, a tidal wave. You're flooded with the breath of Yahuwah. And all is right in your world because you're right with Yahuwah, Yahusha, your creator. And when you're right with Yahuwah, Yahusha, you know that wherever you are, no matter what you're doing, you're in the right place at the right time, because in Yahuwah, Yahusha, you're exactly where he needs you most. And so all is right in your world. And all is good, and you have healing, peace, joy, solace, love, everything you've chased that you could never find elsewhere. You finally have it delivered to you, and you have more than you ever imagined. You receive it again. Your cup floods and runs over, and you're out here shouting to the world, receive the good news. Confess that Yahusha HaMashiach has come in the flesh, and he will come again. And in that commandment that you receive, in the word that you receive, you know the way, the truth, and the life. To love Yahuwah with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your fellow man as you love yourself. And it is that simple. And yet it is that complex. It is that simple and that complex because the complexity, it matures over time, it blossoms over time. All the good things spring, all the prosperity springs, all the wholesomeness springs, all the answers you've ever sought come out of this fountain, this fountain of abundance, this fountain of wealth, of knowledge, of goodness, of love, of healing. Every day more is received, all coming from the understanding of that commandment, the pondering of that commandment, the nourishing your soul from the good news, from the word of Yahusha, his parables, his phrases, his teachings. It's all there for us. We just go right to the source. He left it all for us. It's so it is written, so it is done. You don't need any interpreters for it. You don't need any guidance. It's right there. Read it. Nourish your soul. Ponder it every day. And it blossoms for you. And your life becomes ever richer for it. And then you know that even as good as this life is, this blade of grass that I showed you, so much more is on its way. So much more is before you. So much more you will have when you enter the kingdom of Yahuwah, Yahusha, the kingdom to come, as you walk this narrow path, straight and true, to a place where there is no more murder or death, war or misery, sadness or hatred, evil or sin, illness or disease, no more haters, detractors, psychic vampires, negative influencers. There's no more corrupters or evildoers, misleaders, deceivers, no more Hashatan, no more Satan, Lucifer. There's no demons. He's crushed them all. He's wiped them all away. Absolutely stamped out beneath his feet. And he lives amongst us once again in paradise, in New Eden, in a new universe, a new world where he reigns. And he lives amongst us, and we can love him, honor him, worship him, glorify and praise him. Where there is only everlasting love, everlasting healing, everlasting joy, everlasting peace, and everlasting life. And we can truly, truly, truly live our lives, our everlasting life, in a manner that pleases him most, because we're perfect once again, like we were in Eden, like the angels are. We will be able to follow Yahusha in the way that he deserves and that we deserve in our salvation, in our redemptions, in our deliverance. Now we do our best. For now we do, as we travel this road, as we travel this narrow path, although we can see it, it is narrow, but we can see it, which keeps us on it. And we can live our lives with purpose and meaning. How do we do so? Again, everything is found in the commandment. Love Yahuwah with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your fellow man as you love yourself, and you have meaning, you have purpose. And so, we're getting back to the book. The book that I read, Mark Green, the Navy SEAL, he talks about being championed and championing others. So says the commandment, so says Yahuwah, Yahusha. Love your fellow man as you love yourself. And one of the most powerful ways you can love your fellow man is to lift them higher, is to praise them, is to extol their virtues. How hard is it how hard is it to say a good word about somebody that you know? Everyone has good traits. No matter how bad they are, everyone has good traits, good qualities. In your circle, the circle that you run in, how often do you praise somebody? How often do you lend a good word to somebody? How often do you encourage somebody? How often do you inspire somebody? How often do you seek to motivate somebody? No matter how they're failing, yeah, you can critique them. Yeah, you could advise them. Assuming they've come to you, the worst advice you can give is to someone who's not asking for it, because not only will they reject it, unasked advice is the worst advice you could give, because people don't want it, people don't want to hear it, and they reject you for it. And the last thing, man is naturally rebellious, so you try to force advice on them when they don't want it, they're just going to turn away from it. How much better to encourage them? How much better to lift them higher? How much better to give them a word of inspiration for some of the good things you notice in them? And then guess what? Then all of a sudden, they'll want to hear from you. Then all of a sudden, they'll look to you as someone that they can lean on, as someone that can help raise them up, can help make their day a little bit brighter. And so when they do finally realize that they may need your advice, they'll come to you with open arms. And should they not, then that's fine. That's fine as well. We're here to live as an example for our people, not to preach down to them, not to talk down to them, not to admonish them, not to hurl fire and brimstone at them. The last thing they're going to do is listen to you when you're burning their ears up with vitriol and bile. Bile and vitriol will just poison you. It sits in you as a poison. And that's what your critique sounds like to people who are not asking for it. Never sounds like constructive criticism. But when people come to you and ask for it, it's because they recognize you as a leader. It's because they recognize you as someone who has experience. It's because they recognize you as someone who can lend them advice. But why would they ever do that if they know all you ever have for them is critique? If they know all you ever have for them is a slap down? As if all you ever have for them is to belittle? But just as much critique as you can find in someone, you can find a way to encourage them. You can find a way to motivate them. You can find good qualities, good traits, and a good word to say about them such that you lift them higher. And it does you a good thing as well. It does you a good service. It fills your heart with goodness when you lift people up, when you encourage them, when you promote them, when you market them. Don't market yourself. Be humble. Have humility. Don't talk about all of your greatness, all of your virtues, all of your honorable deeds, all of your purpose and all of your meaning and all of your accomplishments and achievements. Forget about all that. Talk about others. Market others, promote others, talk about their achievements, talk about their accomplishments, no matter how small. It's like watering a seed. Giving a seed a little bit of nourishment will grow them into a beautiful, big, strong, healthy tree. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to lift our people higher. We're here to raise our people up. We're here to encourage them and motivate them. But how can you do that if you don't encourage and inspire and motivate yourself, and the way you do that is through the word, through the way, the truth, and the life. Love Yahuwah with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your fellow man as you love yourself. Ask for Yahuwah, Yahusha, to enter your life, to enter your soul, and to write his living law, his living commandment, the one true way on your heart. The commandment that you will follow lovingly, not begrudgingly, that you will follow as sure as that blade of grass grows, as sure as nature is what it is. You will follow the way, the truth, and the life naturally, because it makes sense, because it gives you purpose, because it gives you meaning, because you're filled with the breath of Yahuwah. You won't follow it begrudgingly. You won't follow it for fear of punishment. You won't follow it because you have to. You'll follow it because you want to, because you desire to, because it brings you all that you never had before. It brings you the gratefulness. It brings you the thankfulness. It brings you the encouragement. It brings you the inspiration. It is the wellspring from which all good things come from. Love Yahuwah with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your fellow man as you love yourself. And be filled with this wonderful, beautiful, everlasting energy that heals you and brings you true peace and solace, so that you can bring peace and solace, motivation and inspiration and encouragement to your people. And so let us walk tall, ceaseless and relentless, encouraged and inspired, steadfast and true, as we move like a juggernaut, unstoppable, unconquerable, undefeatable, unassailable, to kingdom come.